When my friend Dagmar and I were invited to a company potluck, I was perplexed. What can we bring to the potluck? And neither one of us knew how to cook. We didn't have a crock pot, and neither one of us liked to buy pre-prepared foods. I asked Dagmar, what can we bring to the potluck? She looked at me and she said, we can bring class. Welcome to Sunday Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. Each week at Sunday Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. This week, we talked about the preparations for the Queen's funeral and about which church denomination is going to put themselves out of business first. The readings at Washington National Cathedral were from Amos, when the scales in the marketplace are rigged and the sweepings of the wheat are sold to the poor. And from Timothy, there is only one God and one mediator. And the gospel story was the story of the unjust steward. I love the story of the unjust steward because everybody hates it. It reminded me of when Peter Gomes, the chaplain from Harvard, came to preach at Fourth Presbyterian Church years ago, and that was his assigned lectionary reading for the day, the story of the unjust steward. And he read the story to us from the pulpit. After the reading of the story, he closed the Bible and said to us, what are we to make of this miserable text? And then he explained to us that we simply were not paying him enough to explain it to us today, and that we'd have to do that on our own. At Washington National Cathedral, they must be paying Dana Costello pretty well, because she did a pretty good job of explaining it. Dana pointed out to us that the steward was simply dismissed. He was not dismissed and condemned by the master, and because of this, he was able to extend forgiveness to those who were indebted to him and his master. Dana told us this was a story of debt forgiveness. Dana also shared an amusing story that she had recently attended a wedding at a Presbyterian church, and during the service, the minister there explained that during the reading of the Lord's Prayer, that everyone was invited to read the version of the Lord's Prayer that was familiar to their faith tradition. What ensued is what Dana described as a Tower of Babel moment, when half the people there were trespassers and the other half were debtors. At St. James Cathedral, they welcomed their new bishop, Paula Clark. Paula also shared the story of the unjust steward, and she included 3 important messages from it for us. First was the idea that life is not fair. She said that in the Buddhist tradition, pain and suffering are identified as the most common human condition, and that when we realize and recognize that and accept that life is not fair, we can transcend it and then actually move on and accomplish something. Second, Paula explained that the story of the unjust steward illustrates someone who is coloring outside the lines. She said sometimes we need to color outside the lines. In the Episcopal Church and in many denominations, she explained, we've been coloring inside the lines for a long, long time. And then she asked us, how's that working for you? Paula said that there are the seven most deadly words in the church, and she said, and I know you know them, yes you do. She said the 7 most deadly words in the church are, we've never done it that way before. The third point that Paula shared was the idea that we're not in control. She said many of us think that we are in control, but she said, no, you're not. She said it's all an illusion. She said only God is in control. Paula closed her sermon with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr., which was central to her where she is right now. She said we've all experienced many setbacks and disappointments in our life, but the important sentiment as shared by Dr. Martin Luther King, was this quote that if you cannot fly, then run. And if you cannot run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. And the most important message of that is that we all need to keep on moving. If you would like to join us at Sunday Coffee Hour is every Sunday at 12 noon Central Time. I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.